All right, after a couple days rest in town, drying off after 4 days of rain, we are back. Just made it down Indian Carry. Now I'm on Upper Saranac Lake. I'm just gonna show you real quick. The other day, came through Long Lake here into the Racket River and went through, portaged around these falls here and stayed at this lean-to, and that's where the cold and the rain really started to set in. And so I pushed through here on Friday up to Stony Creek, into Stony Creek Ponds, and made this portage to Route 3 here, where I ended up getting picked up and brought into the town of Saranac Lake for a few days. Now the sun's shining and we're back at it, so just got dropped back off. I'm in here now. Just have a short paddle in Upper Saranac Lake across to Middle Saranac, and then we'll work through here and see where I get to today. I'm not really sure where I'm going to end up today. I think I'd like to get to this lean-to here. Got some cool locks to go through, and it's going to be a enjoyable day. So excited to finally be back on the water. Welcome to Middle Saranac Lake. This is quite nice. These mountain views are what we've been missing, you know, the last couple days on those other lakes. That normally you can see these beautiful Adirondack mountain ranges, and everything's just been so socked in that you couldn't see anything. So I am thrilled to finally get some of the views that I've been looking forward to. So I made it through Upper Saranac Lake, wasn't there very long. Just did the portage over to Middle Saranac, and now I have the paddle across this. A little bit of wind, but not too bad. I'm just happy to see the sunshine and no clouds. Just came through the upper locks. I had arrived just as another boat was getting there, so we just kind of tag teamed and made quick work of them. So I didn't film the whole process going through because I didn't want to slow them down, but pretty simple. The backside was already open, so we both just pulled in and tied off, and then closed the back gate and get the water levels to even out, and open the front gate, and off we went. So I don't have too much farther to go today. I've got Lower Saranac Lake to paddle across, and then a little bit of the river, and then I'll be at my lean-to for the night. So I think it's like 6 more miles until we get there. Well, here I sit on Lower Saranac Lake, just sitting here eating my lunch, and finally out of the wind. Just came from that way, paddled for a couple miles, and here we are. Not in too much of a rush because I know I can get to my site in a reasonable amount of time. It's just kind of a weird in-between because you can't, there's really not a lot of sites past it for a while, for like 10 miles or so, and unless you want to stay in Saranac Lake, but I did that for the last 2 nights, so I don't want to do that again. So I'm in no rush, just enjoying the sunshine. I'm gonna get to my site later and set up, and maybe have time to do a little fishing or something. We'll see. Well, I made it to the lean-to I was considering staying at tonight. It's pretty early in the afternoon, definitely several hours before I would typically stop, but the sites are getting scarce after this. Like the next site that I could stay at's not for another 11 miles or so. So instead of running the risk of getting there and then that one's taken, and then I have to push another 6 or 7 miles past that and it get dark, I'm just gonna take the one that I know is available, and yeah, we'll push out past Saranac Lake tomorrow. Morning, survived another cold one. I think that was the last real cold night that we were supposed to have for the foreseeable future. It got down to like 29 last night, so I did not sleep great, but at least I was in dry clothes this time. It's supposed to be a big swing today because if we're going from 29 to 74, so. And the rest of the nights going forward look like they're going to be in the 40s and high 40s and 50s, so that'll be good. This is my last lean-to site until Maine, which is kind of sad. It's nice to be able to cook your food and be inside and not necessarily have to have your rain fly on the tent if you pitch the tent inside, which you're not really supposed to do, but it's early enough in the season where I don't think anybody's really coming through. So from here on out for the next, 400 miles, I'll be sleeping on the ground, but that's all right. Getting all our stuff down here. Go push off into Saranac Lake. I gotta refill some of my water because the water in Saranac Lake's kind of suspect to drink out of the river, even filtered. So there's a store by the portage that I can probably stop and just fill up my water bottles at and have those ready to go, and then push on. So we'll get on the water here. We got the lower locks to go through this morning, and then we'll be in Lake Flower and on to Saranac Lake. So we'll check in later. Well, I made it to the lower locks. Kind of crazy. We've got so much water. The difference. I have to fill this to match the height of this before I can get in. That's a big. That must be 7-foot difference. Kind of crazy. So I'm gonna get to operating these fun wheels. Get these evened out. Go shut that door, and we'll be on our way. Take a few minutes, but we'll get there. Well, now we're all evened out, so I just gotta walk my canoe in, tie it off, close this, drain it, and I can leave. Bit of a process, but it's kind of fun. Made it to the busy town of Saranac Lake. This outfitter over here, Adirondack Lakes and Trails, is actually where I stayed when I was avoiding the rain. They were kind enough to come pick me up, and then the owner actually has an Airbnb in the upstairs above the store. That is beautiful, and I highly recommend anyone check it out if they're in the area. Walking distance to downtown, it was perfect. So I just have to paddle over here to the takeout, and then I'm gonna wheel down to St. Regis Outfitters, fill up my water bottle, charge my battery bank, and just get a snack before getting on the river for the rest of the day. So that's where I will be shortly. Made it to the takeout for Permanent Rapids. If I had an open boat without a bunch of gear in it, it's something from the pictures I've seen, something that I'd probably run, but it's early in my trip. I've got a whole bunch of stuff, so there's no point in risking it. So I'm gonna do my 1.5-mile portage here. Just finished the portage around Permanent Rapids. Wasn't too bad. It's like 1.2 miles on a road. It's all uphill, which is kind of crazy. I thought for sure it would just kind of ride along next to the river, but kind of goes way up and then way back down. So I just put in here at these campsites, and now I'm headed that way. The campsite I was going to grab tonight's only a mile away, and it's not even 2 o'clock, so I'm going to push for another 6 or 7 miles probably and get to the next pond over. So let's continue tomorrow. So that, I believe, is Whiteface Mountain, just north of Lake Placid. I think it's got just about 5,000 feet of elevation. It's a big one. It's kind of cool to see though. I have one thing to say. Some people need to learn how to cast. This is ridiculous. That's so high up there. Where are you casting? On Union Falls Falls Pond. Like I said this morning, no lean-to, but of all the sites to get, first one not being in a lean-to, this is a pretty good one. I will not complain. The bugs are already starting to come out now that it's warming up, and there's enough of a breeze coming through here to kind of keep them at bay, so that is nice. So I'm gonna whip up some dinner and sit and read a book. Good morning, all packed up here. It's about 6:30. Gonna get out while the conditions are nice and glassy. Just have a short 2-mile portage down to a dam where I gotta take out, and most people from there just take out and stay out, and it's an 8-mile road walk down to Clayburg. The reason for that is that for those 8 miles on the river, it's class 2, class 3, even class 4 falls that you need to portage around, and it's just more trouble than it's worth to try to get out and portage every time you come to a section that you can't run. You got to get out at the dam. You might as well just keep the wheels strapped on and just take the road. So I've got my headphones charged. I'll play some music and just go for a walk. Should be nice to rest the arms for a little bit anyway. So say goodbye to Union Falls Pond. Made it down past the separator rapids. The river's been a lot of fun today. It's actually moving quite quick. So I've actually got Craig, the river steward, and one other through paddler with me, and we are headed downstream to Craig's place for the night. Good morning. Just leaving Craig, the river steward. I'm leaving his property. Stayed here last night, and wonderful spot. He's got a beautiful piece of property here in New York that pretty much everybody stays at, and for good reason. He's a wonderful host. Had some cold drinks and good chit chat. So sad to be leaving, but on to Plattsburgh we go. Just got a portage down to the river, and then not too long of a paddle today, and the water should be moving pretty good, but there's some dams to go around, so we'll have to navigate around those. But then we'll be on Lake Champlain for the crossing to Vermont tomorrow. So lovely day. We'll enjoy it. Not that there's a ton to look out for in here, but it's very difficult to read the river looking straight into the sun. The camera is showing a lot less glare than what I see through my eyes, but fun nonetheless. We've got some pretty high water levels right now, and this water is like a foot deep. I could not imagine doing this later in the year. I feel like you would just be walking through here. I'm lucking out though, just enough. Made it down to the Kent Falls Dam in Cadyville. So I have to take out over here, and it's like a 1.2 mile portage. that there's a section where there's a bridge that used to be there that's no longer there that I have to put back in, paddle across the river, take back out, and then continue portaging. So that's going to be annoying, but we'll get it done. We'll get it done. Made it to this annoying juncture. There used to be a bridge that went across, and it has since been removed. There's another dam there, so I can't go that way. I have to take all my stuff, unload it down this hill, load everything up, paddle over there, take everything out, put the wheels back on, and keep going. So, a little time consuming, but what are you gonna do? So I've got 6.5 miles to go before I get to the next dam that I have to portage around. And it looks like I'm gonna get there pretty quick. This is gonna be fun. This is the kind of stuff I don't mind running, that you can pretty much just, all you have to do is steer, and there's not too many obstacles to worry about. There's a couple pour overs, and on the edges there's some strainers, but otherwise you can just ride it out. So this will be fun. I'm gonna find a better eddy than this one to put in down that trail, and we'll be off. Made it to the Treadwell Mills Dam. Thankfully that gate was open behind me. Normally you have to carry all your stuff through a small door opening, but the gate was open, so I was able to wheel right through. So I've got a bit of a portage down this road over here, put back in very briefly, take back out, go around another dam, and then it's smooth sailing. Well, not smooth, choppy sailing down to Saranac Lake. So we'll get there pretty soon. These are always the least favorite of my of my portages. Downhill. I don't mind when it's a little bit downhill, but a lot downhill I have to wheel it backwards. Otherwise this thing's just gonna completely run me over. We're getting there though. The big I-87 bridge is right there, so definitely in civilization. I'd like to sign a petition to have that doorway widened by like 6 inches. The canoe fit, the wheels didn't. Had to take the wheels off and throw everything through and load back up on the other side. Now down this trail we go. You're supposed to put back in right away, but then there's another takeout like less than a mile away, so I'm just gonna wheel all the way to that other takeout and put in after that. Well, it was rough. In trying to find this put in where I was kind of going past where you're supposed to put in, and I was gonna put in farther down. I ended up taking a wrong turn somewhere and ended up on a blazing hot transmission line and went way past the put in, had to backtrack. So that kind of wore me out, I'm not gonna lie. I've only got, nice, good job. Ride the waves. I've only got a little bit. I just go around 2 corners and I have another takeout, short portage, and then it's ride that out to Champlain. So almost done for the day. It's a hot one, so just kind of getting worn out. A lot of walking, but we're getting there. So just dumped my hat in the river. Much needed. I'm glad I know where I'm going, because if not, this would be pretty sketchy. There's a dam right here that just drops off, and there's no buoys. Like there's no indication that there's anything there. I need to take out over here, but there's zero warning that there's a dam there. It just drops off. It seems crazy to me. Made it out of the last portage. Had to go through this hole in the fence up this kind of slippery hill. So that was fun. Into a bunch of poison ivy, even better. So just have to portage down and around here, down this road, put back in, and then ride the water down to Lake Champlain. Well, after a bumpy ride down into Plattsburgh, I am on Lake Champlain. I'm gonna try to see, there's a campground over here, over in this bay, that I'm gonna try to see if I can stay at. They technically don't open for another couple days, but I'm gonna work my magic and see if they'll let me stay there for the night, and then paddle over to the Hero Islands first thing in the morning. So we'll see how that goes. This isn't exactly a portage I thought I was gonna have to be making, but I got blown into shore and there was nothing I could do. So I need to get up to this beach to get to the campground I'm supposed to be staying at. So, just taking my canoe for a walk at the beach. We'll get there eventually.